What's going on? It's BF Nkrumah, and this is the Nkrumah Perspective, where I teach personal development and life skills through the lens of a black man to help black men move from victims of fate to controllers of their destiny. Tonight, I want to talk about a topic that I do not think I have ever heard anybody ever discuss. And I believe there's a lot of things specific to men. And we only deal with black men on this show. So specific to black men that we really don't address. Some things are so taboo because of the way that we view men, because of the way men have been trained to view themselves and view expression. So a lot of times men suffer in silence because we don't articulate what we actually go through. And then we get treated like if a woman is going through the same exact thing, we get treated like we couldn't fathom what she's going through and treat her like we don't go through anything that is similar. And most often, that is false. Men and women typically go through a lot of the same things. It's just not looked at the same when it's men. So, what we're going to talk about tonight, the message is brothers, don't lose yourself in the roles that you play. Now, I often hear women talking about losing themselves in the roles that they play in relationships and parenting. And the conversations always seem to feel or have the feeling or the framing that the only individuals who lose themselves in the roles that they play are women, and men somehow are always able to be exactly who God created them to be in every area of their life. Nothing is impeding them, and men just have this freedom to just be. And we have nothing quenching our individuality. We have nothing quenching our personality. We have nothing that we get wrapped up in and lose ourselves in. It's only for women. And I'm here to tell you that is false. But the problem is the way men are viewed. We are viewed as emotionless and often thought to be insidious individuals who always have malicious intent. It's no matter what a man does, he has to have malicious intent. So we can see a group that's been together, a couple that's been together for 5 years. People going to be saying, why he waiting so long to propose? He's just dragging her along. Have no idea what's going on in their relationship, have no idea what's going on in his head or her head, but the man has to be doing something wrong because we're viewed as insidious. We have to always be laying in wait to do something wrong, and our humanity is always stripped from us. Our humanity is always stripped from us. And this is how a lot of conversations with the male-female dynamic fall deaf, because when we begin to talk about issues, whether there are issues that men are fully and vehemently against that affect women negatively, but when the women talk about it, they talk about men from a standpoint, not that, all right, a man did something wrong or men do something wrong. It's you do this wrong because you feel this way about women and you secretly hate us and you hate your mom and you feel like women are beneath you and this is why, and you are stripping us from our humanity. So then we end up arguing for our humanity, and in that, the women feel like we're arguing for whatever they're fighting against, if that makes any sense to you. Like if you ask any man, any sane man, do you condone rape? I don't know a man that's going to say, yes, no, we do not condone rape. But if we start talking about a situation and you start saying, well, yeah, men rape because men feel like, and like we like, hold on, we don't feel like that. Oh, you're a rape apologist, It's like, no, I'm not apologizing, but I'm affirming my humanity. Now, just because men's pains don't manifest exactly how women's do, doesn't mean we don't go through the same things and feel the same emotions. Men have the same, whether we show it or not, men have the same range of emotions as women. Everything that you can feel, we can feel. We can feel pain, we can feel anger, we can feel love, we can feel trust, we can feel vulnerable, we can feel sad, we can be depressed, we can feel every feeling that women feel. We can feel fear. You know, when my when my daughter had to buy her first had to buy my daughter her first training bra, I was more emotionally distraught than her mother, because obviously her mother's a woman and she has already been through it. So it wasn't as terrifying as it was for me as her father. But I was emotionally distraught messing around with that. So in that case, I felt more emotionally than she did. And hide it well. Yes, we do. And we're going to get into that. So, but ladies, now understand this. I am not here to bash women. That is not my platform. That will never be my platform. At times, I will expose certain things in order for us to correct behaviors that negatively impact men. That way we can get along in a cohesive manner. But I am not and never will be a woman basher. So understand that clearly, and do not feel like when I'm pointing something out, I'm here to bash. Right now, no, I'm just here to expose things that the men typically do not talk about. So one of the first things I want to expose right here, right, is there's two words that women use that totally dismiss men's feelings and what men go through. And those two words are, that's different. We can be having a genuine conversation trying to tell you about our emotions and say something to the effect of, remember how you said you felt when X, Y, and Z happened to you? Well, that's exactly how I feel as this is happening to me. And the all too familiar phrase, nah, that's different. And I'm not just talking about from my own personal experience. I have over 10 years counseling couples. So I have witnessed the women sitting right in front of me trying to proclaim that's different. Again, our humanity is always being stripped from us. Our is women feel, or have, I'm gonna say, they've been trained to feel like men cannot feel how they feel in this world. And we are just these emotionless beings. So let's get off of the women. Bro, this is about you. Because I really want to speak to the brothers tonight about not losing yourself. So I want to ask you, who are you? Or a better question, who would you be if judgment and expectation didn't exist? If you were not afraid of any judgment, and if nobody ever had any expectations of you, who would you be? Because I'm talking about getting to the core, to the depths of your true self, of who you are as this individual man, as this individual human being. Getting to the core of you. Not what you've become, not what you thought you were supposed to be, not the expectations you fulfilled or the judgments you made sure did not happen, or not the roles that you were taught to live up to. Who would you be if judgment and expectation didn't exist. So now let's start talking about some of these roles. I want you to learn who you are and then make sure you don't lose who you are as you navigate the roles that you have to fulfill in your life, because we do have to fulfill roles, but that doesn't mean you have to lose yourself. The first role that we lose ourselves in is simply being male. Being male comes with certain expectations. People will look at males who are into sports like they're crazy, in particular in the hood. If you ain't trying to play football or basketball, and shoot, if you are trying to play a sport, but a sport out of the norm like hockey or baseball, it's like, oh, what are you doing? Black men don't do that. Black boys don't play that. So there's a certain set of expectations that's placed on you as soon as you came out of the womb into the world. And the doctors pronounced you as boy. It's a baby boy. You had expectations on you already. Now, I do not get into none of this gender fluidity stuff or anything. I believe in real men, real women, and men should be with women and women should be with men. But there are some social constructs, right? You, as a male, you were just expected to like blue. You were just expected to like trucks. There was a big thing going on about them making boy kitchen sets, and people were like, you should never buy your son a kitchen set. Like, I cook in my kitchen. As a man, most of the chefs in the world are men. Why can't the boy have a kitchen set? If as a man, he's going to cook. Might even want to cook for a woman. But those are the expectations that we begin to lose ourselves in. Now, depending on the environment that you're raised in, the idea of what a male is supposed to be is different. But every environment has expectations that never considered who you are as a unique human being. Whether you were raised in the suburbs, upper middle class, or you was raised in the hood in poverty, there's a different set of expectations for you. But none of those expectations said, well, who is this unique human being? They were just group expectations, and we learn to live up to these expectations. And in these things, we lose ourselves, brothers. And we understand, or we feel like a man is supposed to do X, Y, and Z. It's a difference between doing and being. It's a difference between doing and being. See, we get told what we should and shouldn't be and are never allowed to live and become. Many of us are like caterpillars who got told not to go into a cocoon. We're not allowed to live and become who we really are. We're not allowed to explore and find exactly who we are. We have to live up to these expectations or face judgment. And in this, we men lose ourselves in the role just of being a male. Now, obviously, if you're a male, you're also in another role. You're in the role of a son. Now, I've seen young women have to take on a motherly role with their siblings at times. But I personally, now somebody else might have seen this, but I personally have never seen, heard, witnessed a young woman who was raised by a single dad told that she was the woman of the house. I've personally never seen it. But time and time again, I've seen young boys get this pressure placed on them. How can I experience my individual boyhood if I have the allegorical title and pressure hanging over my head as a man of the house when I'm not even a man yet. This type of pressure, in particular in the city, drives a lot of young men to the streets because they got to help their mom out. And when you get into the streets, you totally lose yourself. The streets take every bit of who you are. Trust me, I was in it for years. The streets remove every bit of your individuality, and you have to take on this image of the street guy. You have to take on the personification of the corner that you're from or the gang that you had to join. You had to take on a personification of the old heads that were in jail or got killed. You had to live up to certain hypes. I remember when we used to go to corners and just talk to young guys. I was talking to this young man who was running his block. He was like 20 years old. So I'm talking to him about the beef that he got going, they have going on with the corner that's not too far from them. So I said, man, how long this beef been going on? He said, man, this beef probably been going on like 15, 20 years. I said, oh, you only 20? He said, yeah, this beef started way before me. So now you grow up on a block and inherit dislike for another block. So the streets totally take from us and cause us to lose ourselves, but we never talk about this. We never talk about how men lose themselves to the roles that they have to play. Now, there's a fallacy that sons are allowed to chase their dreams and daughters are only taught to be wives. Where? Show me the group of black men who have just always been able to just chase their dreams. Please show me the 30-year-old, 40-year-old black men who, since the time they came out of the womb, they were just able to chase their dreams. And right now, they're living their dreams. Show me the group of men. We have so many fallacies that we believe that we don't see no examples of in real life. Oh, men get to chase their dreams. I don't know about white men, but I don't know no black men that just had the free will to just chase their dream their whole life and nothing was slowing them down or stopping them, or they didn't get forced into a role to do something that they didn't want to do. Where? Where's this? We don't get to chase our dreams. By the time we're teenagers, we have to get realistic. And we got to start making some money because sons are taught that they have to provide for a family. Now, once I'm a teenager and I start liking girls, especially once I'm getting in my upper teens, 17, 18, I got to have some money to take a woman out. And if I'm really interested in her, and I come from a family such as my family, where everybody was married, all my aunts and uncles, so all I saw was marriage. And so I'm looking at relationships as something that's going towards marriage. I'm also looking towards having to provide for my wife and my children. This is what sons are taught. Ladies, I don't think you will ever understand the pressure. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have your own pressures. I'm talking about this specific pressure. I don't think you will ever understand the pressure of feeling like you have to take care of another adult that's not your child. The pressure that if I meet her, I like her, I want to be with her, then I need to take care of her. That's a total different type of pressure that you got to deal with as a man. And we lose ourselves in that role. This is what we're taught as sons. We lose ourselves in that. I have to be a provider. I have to be a provider. And I'm not saying men should not provide. What I'm saying is when we're not taught to identify exactly who we are, we take on these roles and the roles become who we are. and we lose ourselves in them. The same way women lose themselves in relationships and lose themselves in motherhood, men lose themselves also. Now, there are expectations on both sons and daughters, so I'm not diminishing what daughters go through. I'm exposing you to what sons go through because no one ever talks about it. I've never heard anybody have this conversation. Every expectation has the potential to take a piece of you away. It's imperative that even while fulfilling expectations, we do it as ourselves. So again, brothers, it's always going to be clutch for us to do the work to identify who we truly are at the core of our being. To identify who we are at the core of our being. That way we can know how to maneuver in roles as ourselves. The more you know who you are and know how you're supposed to be flowing, and there's chapters 2, 3, and 4. My book, Nothing Can Stop Us. Chapter 2 is defining who you are. Chapter 3 is flowing in your I am tangibly. And chapter 4 is flowing in your I am intangibly. So really learning how I'm supposed to flow in life, no matter what I'm doing, no matter where I'm at, in the way that it is fulfilling my actual personage. And I'm not just in these roles, losing myself in the role, but I'm actually being myself while I'm fulfilling this role, because there's nothing wrong with fulfilling the roles. There's nothing wrong with meeting expectations. The problems come when the expectation becomes who you think you are. I remember I was counseling a brother who was in a relationship with a woman that he was head over heels for, and he was destroying the relationship. Destroying the relationship. And so he came to me for counseling, and we're talking through it. And he's like, my girl make 2 times more money than I make. I'm like, okay, so what's the problem with that? He says, well, I was always taught that a man was a provider, and she doesn't need me to provide for her. So I don't even know how to be a man in her life. Everything that he was or had the potential to be in his mind meant nothing because he couldn't fulfill a role. He couldn't fulfill a role. She didn't need him for money. So he's like, what am I supposed to do as a man? As if there aren't 100 other things that you can provide for this woman. But his idea of manhood, his idea of himself was a role. Now it's okay to play the role, as I said, but we can't lose ourselves to the point where we think we can't even be men anymore unless we're fulfilling a particular role. So I talked about being male, being a son. And the reason why I'm very particular with my language in saying, he had to be a male and not a man, I made that distinction because this is what happens to little boys. This is what happens. This is how we are getting trained young. By the time a boy is 3 years old, he is aware that his emotions bother people. So he learns to hold them in and only express what he truly feels through the one emotion boys are allowed to show: anger. By the time he's 3, and I saw this in the comment earlier, it said somebody said they hide it well. Yeah, of course men hide it well. We start hiding our emotions when we were toddlers. Because every time we cried, somebody got mad. Every time we cried, somebody told us to shut up. Every time we cried, people labeled us as whining too much for a boy. And I personally have been one of those people that did that. In fact, my nephew, I nicknamed him Crybaby. Cried all the time, crybaby, crybaby, crybaby. That's what I called him. Never called him his name until I began to dig into the psychology, and I wrote my second book, Broken Pillars. And I felt so bad And I went and saw him, hugged him, kissed him, told him I loved him, and I apologized to him. Never called him crybaby again. Because I understand now. I didn't understand then, and some of you might not have understood until we start having this conversation. What is happening to this individual human being when we're saying he cried too much for a boy? What does that mean? He's too emotional for a man. What does that mean? Who put the limits of emotions on a man? So our sons, he's a sissy if he gets emotional, but he better fight. And then we try to figure out why boys and men have so much aggression. So little boys, I don't know about now. I know when I was young, we would get teased if we liked a little girl. Even by adults. Oh, you like so-and-so. And whenever there's teasing, there's changing behavior. So what do little boys do when they like the little girl? They hit her. Because the only way that they can show how they truly feel is through anger and hitting. Because they're allowed to get mad. They're allowed to fight, but they're not allowed to love. They're not allowed to be smitten. They're not allowed to feel emotional. So if I like a little girl, I'm going to hit a little girl because this is the only way I'm allowed to express myself. So brothers, we got to dig in. We got to dig deep. We have to unlock the genius and the uniqueness we had before we began to try to fit a mold. Before we try to fit being our father or being our uncle, being some popular guy from television or being some popular guy from the neighborhood. We got to dig deep to find our genius and our uniqueness, because you have a unique thumbprint that God wants to use in this world and that this world needs from you. There are some people that may need you in certain roles, but the entire world needs you to be you. So who were you before trying to fit the mold? We got to tap back into that. One of the most liberating pieces of advice that I got as a young preacher was from my pastor. And he said to me, the world already got one Doug Carpenter. Don't try to preach like me. Preach in your character. And my pastor was my uncle. So my uncle knew me when I was a fool. And I was only like 1 year removed from the streets when I got in the church and started preaching. And since he knew my craziness and told me still preaching my character, that liberated me to know I can just be me while I'm in this role. I don't have to, and I hate to talk about preachers, but I hate when preachers get up there, they have that fake voice. You don't talk like that. That's not really how you pronounce words. Hate when they get up there and they try to imitate another preacher. Be you in whatever role that you are in. Now, after the role of male, obviously, we have to deal with the role of a man, which presents its own set of personality compromises. Yes, its own set of personality compromises. You're not a real man if you don't X, Y, and Z. And X, Y, and Z might not have anything to do with your personality, but you have to compromise who you are to be this idealistic, real man. Still talking about us losing ourselves, right? Can y'all see how a man can lose himself in this? Oh, you're not a real man if you don't, yeah, so I got to do that? But that don't even feel good to me. That don't make me feel satisfied, fulfilled, and happy. I get no joy out of doing that. Why do I have to be that? Now, I do believe every man should be able to defend themselves, but we feel like every man's got to be aggressive. Every man ain't got to be aggressive. That's not everybody's personality trait. Every man don't have to be confrontational. But this is what we try to put on every single man, and then men try to fill these roles, and they are losing themselves in these roles. Hope this is making sense to y'all. Now, many people will say, and I will agree, that men have roles, and that is fine if the role doesn't consume you. So it's commonly believed that Heath Ledger died as a result of how deep he got into the role of the Joker. They said he was locking himself in dark rooms, and he began to lose his mind and start taking medicine and end up overdosing and dying because he got so deep into this role. Denzel said it took months for him to stop being Malcolm X after they finished filming. Now, the goal is to play the role that you have to play without losing yourself. So it's one thing to know, all right, I have to play this role. You play the role, then you go back to being yourself. It's another thing for you to begin to think that the role is who you are, and that the role actually defines you. When you believe the role is who you are, that the role defines you, that has taken a piece of you away. That expectation has now taken a piece of you, and you have lost yourself in this role. Me personally, since I've done the work and teach the work, I have a clear understanding of who I am. So I maneuver through roles, bringing myself to the role and not the role to me. So whatever role I'm flowing in at the time, I'm still flowing in my I am as I fulfill this role. As I'm being a male through my I am. As I'm being a man through my I am. As I'm being a son, I'm being a son through my I am. Whatever role that I'm playing at any particular time, because I've done the work to totally understand who I am at the moment and who I'm evolving, allowing myself to evolve. I understand that I'm in this role, but this role ain't me. Instead of me being a provider, I'm a man who provides. I'm me. I'm this unique human being, but I do provide. That's something I do. It's not who I am. It's not who I am. Then we have the role of the boyfriend, fiance, husband. Now, relationships are definitely where women like to say, only they alone lose themselves. Only they alone lose themselves. Every time I hear these conversations, and again, I'm not diminishing or trying to say that women don't lose themselves in relationships, nor am I trying to say that men have it worse or anything like that. I'm not comparing. I'm simply having the conversation that we don't typically have to expose that men also lose themselves. So I'm not trying to diminish anything that women go through at all in any way, but I've never heard anybody have this conversation, and I thought that we had to do this. So the role of boyfriend, fiance, and husband. Do men lose themselves in these relationships? Do you know how many men over the course of forever have put their dreams in the trash and worked a back-breaking job to provide for their families? Jobs so exhausting to the point they couldn't be their human self enough to be emotionally available for their family. Do you really think your grandfather was living as his optimal self? Do you really think your boys get to chase their dreams? What era? Is it just this era? I ain't get to chase mine. I don't believe my dad got to chase his. No, my grandfathers ain't get to chase theirs. What era? So even in relationships with that provider tag, men have put their dreams to the side to say, listen, I got to get a real job. And in particular, in years past, you know, with like my father's age and my grandfather's age, in particular, they got a woman pregnant. Oh, whatever dream you had, that stops instantly. I got to get a job. I got to make her an honest woman, and I got to take care of my family. You don't think men lose themselves in that? What childhood dream did any boyfriend, any of you women that's watching this, ever have that he was still living in? What childhood dream does your dad have that he was just lived out? What childhood dream did your grandfather had that he just lived out? This idea is false. We lose ourselves in relationships just like women. Now, I've never heard, and maybe some of you did, but I haven't. I've never heard of chivalry towards men. Now, definitely heard women are expected to cook and clean, but that benefits them as well. Chivalry is the expectation of men to somewhat worship women. Now, I have no problem with chivalry, but do you not think these expectations cause us to lose ourselves in this role? Do you not think that the expectations of how a man is supposed to be with a woman? I'm not talking about some bottom of the barrel ain't shit men. It's not what I'm talking. I'm talking about the average good man, because they out here and they do exist. Do you not think those expectations cause him to lose himself? Let's go a little deeper with this. Especially right now, I don't know why this resurgence has come, but everybody is big on the 5 love languages. The core of what the love languages is about, the idea is that you have to love my way. Your personalized thoughtfulness means nothing. I don't feel it. Love my way. Now, I don't disagree with that concept at all. I think that's something that we should learn, how our partners love and how our partners feel love, and then make sure we're showing our partners love in the way that they actually feel love. I agree with that. I'm not going against it. I'm just showing how the roles we play make us lose ourselves. Because now, in order to love you, I have to get out of who I am and how I love, how I experience love, and how I feel like I want to give love. And I have to get rid of that individuality to give you the love that you want, the way that you want. Again, I'm not against it. I'm just saying, do you think that does not cause us to lose ourselves in that role? That's all I'm asking. Men, if we're employees, 9 times out of 10, in that role of you in corporate America, you are not being your true Black male self. They call it playing the game, but what happens when it goes past playing the game and it becomes who you are? So as an employee, a whole nother role where you'll lose yourself. As a parent, you lose yourself. I'm always confused when the conversations come up and it's like, oh yeah, my mother, I lost. Women lose themselves in motherhood. And I'm not saying that women don't. Again, I'm not saying women don't. But you don't think men lose themselves too? You don't think men lose themselves too? Shoot, the moment the child is born, nobody care about you no more. But your daughter. Whole life changed with my daughter. It's never been the same. It would never be the same. I have another human I have to take care of. Changed so much about my life. Why would you think we didn't lose ourselves in it, just like women lose themselves in it? So I just wanted to talk about that tonight. I wanted to expose different roles that we can be in and how we can lose ourselves in those roles, so we can begin to open up. And most importantly, that we can begin to discover who we truly are. Start to do this work I know a lot of us have never even thought about doing it. But has ever thought about trying to figure out exactly who you are? You're always trying to figure out what role you have to play and how you can fulfill it. Well, we're moving past that now, brothers. It's time for us to unlock our true genius and our true uniqueness. It's time for us to unlock our I am and flow in our I am like never before. It's time for us to live our optimal lives. It's time for us to live in everything that we have. It's time for us to be everything that we can be. It's time for us to attain everything that we can attain in life through our giftedness, through our skills, and through that individuality. It's time for us to be to the world what the world needs from us, because the world needs us. But we got to do the work. We got to do the work. Start asking the question, who am I? Who am I? I never forget, I was talking to my friend Ma some years ago. This is probably like 15 years ago. And I'm like, bro, I really don't know what I like. I'm like, everything I like, I think I like because I know if I am this or have this, women are going to like me. So I don't know if I really like this car. I don't know if I really like this jewelry. I know I like women, and this attracts women. But is it really what I like? If I wasn't trying to attract women, would I really have this? Would I really do this? Would I really wear this? Would I really buy this? So we got to start asking the questions. Who am I? Who would I have been if judgment and expectation did not exist and I was able to just live and become? I was able to take my time to go into my cocoon to become the butterfly that I was intended to be. Now, if any of you brothers want to be helped with this, you can always reach out to me at bfnkrumah at gmail.com, or you can always text tribe to 833-447-0101. I do one-on-one coaching. The second part of the coaching is defining who you are. We're going to walk through that, and we're going to create a I am statement for you. That way you know exactly who you are, exactly who you should be being. And as you maneuver in and out of different roles, you're always bringing yourself to the role, and you're not bringing the role to you. But we also do a group coaching that we do every Monday night, which is subscription based. And I will put the link to that in the comments. We have one person that's in the chat that could actually come on. Would you like to come on, or are you good? Let me know. Drop in the comments. If it's something that you want to add to the conversation, drop in the comment and let me know you want to come on. You good? Okay. No problem. No pressure. No expectation. I just had to let you know that you had the option. And as always, you can support the show at Cash App bfnkrumah.com. It's BF Nkrumah, and this is the Nkrumah Perspective. I look forward to seeing you guys next Tuesday for the Ask BF segment. Every Tuesday at 9, we are live right here where brothers can call in, and sisters also can tune in to ask their personal development and life skills questions and get coaching directly from me for free. Love y'all. See y'all next week.